Warning, we are not trained or licensed professionals. Do not take any advice that we give as official doctoral prescribed medical treatment. We only use the name as a means to appreciate cinema as a therapeutic device, not to be confused with drugs, antidepressants, or any other forms of enhancements that you might find in legal states. Please enjoy responsibly.
Additional disclaimer. If the film says we can say it too. So check the film rating, and that will be our episode rating. Additional disclaimer. This session briefly includes topics such as depression and relationship abuse.
So without further ado, let us jump into Breaking Dawn. I didn't write anything down for part one, so we can just combine the two unless you have specific things you want to talk about.
I combined all my notes for Breaking Dawn as a whole, so yeah.
Great. So start us off, please.
So the first thing I wrote was nobody thinks that Bella can do anything on her own, not even Charlie. Maybe her mom thinks so, but she meets her mom in Eclipse and then never sees her again. So, the Breaking Dawn. She comes to the wedding, right?
Yeah, she comes to the wedding. That's the last we see.
So the Breaking Dawn part 1, that's the last we see her. So sad, but Bella is so dependent on everyone else, or people think she needs to be dependent on them.
Yes.
Which is not cool.
No.
She needs to be her own person.
Yeah. Amen to that. That's poetically illustrated. Good job.
That is my biggest argument of the series, is that she can't be her own person. She's only with Edward, and that's it.
Is that true for the books too? Is it less true in the book?
It might be true in the books. I don't remember a ton about if she makes her own decisions or not. And I was not in that headspace when I was reading the book, so I'm not sure how I thought about her when I was reading the books when I was 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if I do end up and read the books, I can text, when I'm reading, I'll text you and be like, oh, here's an example.
Yeah. Let me know.
I will. If I do read the books and I'd like to, then I plan to.
This movie overall, I think the part 1 feels more disconnected than the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow.
Yeah.
It just moves really fast, and there's so much that happens, like we said earlier.
Yep. She
with the whole birth of her child and everything, and it just comes up so quickly. How does it end? It ends with her. It ends with her opening her eyes and they're bright red like a vampire. So we don't really see Renesmee.
No.
Until the second movie, right?
No, we just see one shot of Rosalie holding her, and then Jacob sees her for the first time, and then that's all you see of her.
Oh, that's in part 1.
That is in part 1, yeah. Because when Bella wakes up in part 2, she's like, you named my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster? Which is Bella as a vampire is so much better than Bella as a human.
I know. She really comes into her own as a vampire.
She does,
it's
though.
Amazing.
Kristen Stewart really comes into becoming Bella when she's a vampire.
Yes. She is such... It's so good.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah, it's hard to say, I wish it happened sooner, but I also wish it didn't happen as soon as it does, because they're so young.
Yes.
They're so young!
Yes, exactly. You could easily change that by just having them, having the movies take place more over time. Okay, let's say they graduate in the third one, but then we can have, a time skip of 6 months or a year.
Yeah.
And then they get married and it's been 2 years or something.
Yes, it's just so fast. I don't like that.
I don't either.
Because in the 50s, it works,
Sure it did. Sure it did.
I don't know. It's hard to say, because you could marry someone and be unhappy your whole life, but still justify it and make it work, kind of like Edward and Bella, because Edward is possessive and manipulative.
But this isn't just a life. This is forever. This is hundreds of thousands of years.
Forever.
It's eternity until you get all your limbs ripped off.
Yeah, until your head comes off and you burn.
Burn, baby, burn.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
We're talking about how fast Breaking Dawn Part 1 how so much happens, but it goes by. Yeah, like the speed of it. It feels like things don't connect, even though they do. It feels simultaneously both slow and fast.
Yeah.
And it almost works as that weird level of pace. But because it's a Twilight movie, it doesn't quite entirely mesh. But I still don't think it's a horrible movie. I don't even know how I would rank these anymore, but like
I know, it's hard.
It's so hard because like it depends on my mood when I watch them, and it depends on like what I'm in the mood for, cuz like yeah, I don't know. But yeah.
It depends on how you rank them movie-wise or emotion-wise, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in terms of films, the part 1 does not do very well because it's just a bunch of exposition for part 2.
And part 2
but
is just exposition.
I really like part 1.
Yes. Yes, I do too.
Because of the emotion.
Same.
Yeah.
I love the roller coaster of emotions it puts you through. Because it's like, oh, it's Joyce, they're married, they're on their honeymoon, and then, oh shit, she's pregnant. Oh no, it's like a half vampire baby. Oh my god, that birth scene. Oh wait, the baby's a horrible thing, we have to get rid of it. Oh wait, now Jacob imprinted on it. Oh wait, now she's a vampire. It's like, it's like.
Yes, so much.
So much happens.
Yeah.
I like the arc that Jacob goes through, but I wish it was handled differently. It's almost like a complete through line because he starts the movie off, and you justified this and I do think that's valid, but he starts the movie off seeing the wedding invitation and raging and going into wolf form and just being a whiny little wolf about it, and then he goes to the wedding and then it's like, oh man, he was like the bigger man, good for him, but then he turns into like, wait, you can't have a honeymoon, aren't you gonna like kill her, won't you crush her?
What is that?
And then we found the perfect response like immediately, like, bruh, Edward, no, you're gonna kill her. Like, you're gonna crush her. And then I'm like, dude, relax. Bella can be on top. It's fine. Like that's totally gonna solve your problem. That'll solve that problem. And then
exactly. Seriously, she doesn't need to be crushed. She can have control. Okay, which is exactly what I've been talking about for this whole series.
Yes,
she doesn't have any control over anything. She's just a victim.
This is the way for her to get control.
This is so bad.
Okay. Oh God. In Breaking Dawn Part 2, because they have a love scene in that movie too, she is on top. So and she's a vampire. She definitely has control.
Right. Yeah. So now when she's finally immortal, she has control. Like whatever. Stupid.
Which is why she should have been a vampire, like the whole time. Like her as a vampire is so
she
great.
should have been born a vampire.
Yeah, but she wasn't, and because then that's what the story is. But but anyway, so then Jacob goes from being like, oh, you're gonna kill her, to then he stalks off and he almost starts a fight because he's Jacob and he's very arrogant and he's not in control of his emotions. And then when they come back after the honeymoon, he's what is he like? Because I want to say he is really supportive, but he's not. But he is like he's very conflicted about the whole thing, and there's some parts where
he just wants to make sure she's okay.
Yeah, which that's the part where I'm like, dude, that's great. You're like growing as a character. You're they're married and like your chances are done, and like you still feel unrequited love, but you're still being there for her in the ways you can. And I'm like, dude, that's great. And then he stands up to Sam and says like, I am the tribe's son. I'm the one who should be the leader. And then he goes off and he like makes his own pack. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like Edward even says, like, if this baby kills Bella, I want you to kill me. And then Jacob's like, of course I'll do that. And then later on when he's like, I can't kill you for this because that wouldn't be enough of a punishment. And I'm like, whoa, bro. Damn.
Yeah.
And then he goes to kill the baby, but instead.
Yeah.
And that's the part where I'm like, I know the books explain it, but in the movie it's like, and even the movies explain it.
Understand.
In Eclipse and in Breaking Down Part 2, they explain it like he even says to Bella, it's not what you think. But Alice sees I love Alice, she's the best. But Alice sees a vision of them together when she's older, and I'm like, yeah, I know she like ages fast, and that makes it a little better, but it's still a little weird. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. It definitely in the movie does not come across well.
No.
Because, well, they don't even explain the whole backstory of somebody else in the tribe imprinting on a young toddler or baby or whatever. Because somebody else does that.
Because you said that happens in, like, the book, right?
Yeah. And there's one itsy-bitsy shot in New Moon where, I think it's New Moon, where Jacob is on the beach with the tribe and Bella, and he's explaining to her the lore and imprinting, and they show like Sam and Emily together and another guy and girl together, and then they show, I think it's Quill.
Yeah, I think so.
Quill and this toddler at like the beachfront surf area, but he doesn't say it. There's just one little shot of it, and I think maybe if they would have gone into that a little bit in the movie, that would have been a little setup for it. But it's just, it comes across as super weird, and I understand that.
Because in Eclipse, they also set up where Bella says, like, have you ever imprinted on anyone? And then Jacob looks at her and says like you would know if I had.
You would know.
You would know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, I love the idea of Jacob imprinting on somebody else, and like that's how he moves on, and that's how the feud between the wolves and the vampires finally ends, and it's with him. And I think that's a great, like that's great. But the execution just isn't quite there. And I really think that's an adaptation thing, because I'm sure book-wise, it's much more set up, it's much more explained, it's not out of left field as much.
Yeah, definitely.
So...
yeah, it makes sense weirdly in the book, but yeah, in the movies, it's just kind of like, I remember watching it and I was like, oh, ew. Especially with the freaking CG baby.
Yes. It's CG the whole time.
It's horrible.
You can't get a real baby. How many babies are born every day? Like just go to a hospital, just get a baby, and then just...
They were about to use a doll before they used the CG. I watched this BTS thing, and it was an incredibly creepy doll that they had, that they were going to shoot instead of the CG baby. It was horrific.
See, people say Twilight's really stupid. This is evidence for those people. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
You don't do that. Just get a real baby.
Oh my god.
Go to a hospital.
It looked like Chucky.
Chucky looks better than this baby. Like, and then even when she's young, they like CG her face a little bit. I'm like, why?
Yeah, I don't get it. Why? Plenty of movies have just different aged actresses that are different ages throughout
of the character.
Whatever. Yeah, of the character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's totally normal. Like, we understand that you have to get different aged babies and toddlers and young girls to play different people within an hour, 2-hour movie. That's a thing.
Case in point is Matilda. There's like 3 or 4 actresses before we get to Mara Wilson. Like, you can do that easily. Like, she's like 2, and then she's 4, and then she's 6. Like, 6.5.
Yeah,
sorry.
you don't have to CG that.
Yeah, I mean, it was the 90s, but like
6.5.
Yeah, you're 4. 6.5. If you were 6.5, you'd be in school already. I could quote the whole movie. I love that movie. It's great.
I have not seen that in so long.
It's amazing. We should do an episode on that.
Maybe we should, yeah.
Anyway, back to Breaking Dawn. So I know we jumped the gun, but let's go in order. So, what do you think of their wedding?
Oh, I love it.
I do too.
I love it.
I
think it's perfect.
Yeah.
I think it's lovely.
Yes.
It's every girl's fantasy.
I love how they play the song, the Iron and Wine song from the first movie, from their first dance at prom. Yeah. I love that. That's so poetic. It's beautiful. It's sweet. It's romantic.
We got a Stephanie Meyer and Melissa Rosenberg and some producers cameo.
Mm-hmm. All
in the wedding scene.
Yes. And then the reception's great too, like with Emmett's toast and Charlie's toast, and it's sweet and it's funny. And Anna Kendrick, what's her name? Is it Jessica? Yeah, Jessica's toast, and I think Bella's mom, Renee, also. Maybe Esme too. There's a lot of toasts that happen, but it's all in this one montage, and it's so like heartfelt and funny and serious, and it's a great send off for them into married life.
It is good.
Okay.
It's so beautiful.
The cinematography in that scene looks really good too. Like they really pull it off.
Yeah, it is good.
And then there's the honeymoon, which comes next.
Oh, the honeymoon is totally cool. Like, that is like anyone's dream honeymoon, to a private island.
Yes.
And you just go and swim and play chess and the whole time. And
well, they don't play chess because that's in her dream. Her
wait.
dream.
Wait, what?
Right? Isn't that the dream she has where they're playing chess and then they start like?
I thought that was just a montage.
Maybe it is. Huh. Anyway, the way they are in their honeymoon is just like so romantic, and I think that's why this is the movie where they really become their characters, because you really feel their connection, even if you didn't feel it in the other movies as much. Like in the first movie, you don't really feel it because they're kind of in that, which in a weird way, like the evolution makes sense, because in the first movie they're like, their chemistry is not quite there and they're awkward and they have those moments, and by this time when they're getting married, their connection is solidified and the actors' chemistry is solidified. But like story wise, it's only been like a year and a half, but movie wise, like it should be over a few years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's the first time they've been away together by themselves, which makes a difference.
Yes.
When that's really when abusive relationships can thrive.
I'm all too well aware of that, not because of the abusive relationships that I've had, but because of abusive relationships that I've witnessed.
Yeah.
I'm all too, absolutely.
It's like, oh, you're in a dream world, you're on vacation, you're in love, and it all makes sense when you're just alone together, but once you start to be around other people who you care about, then it gets not good.
But I do think the way they're written feels better in the last couple movies, except for the part, like you said, when Edward is like, you can't keep the baby, you can't do that to me. Like, dude, it's like I don't see you like growing a baby inside of you. Like, chill.
Yeah, dude.
It's like what Sarah Connor says in Terminator 2, like, no man can understand, and I'm a guy, so I know it sounds kind of like hypocritical of me, but like kind of ironic. but when Sarah's like, okay, like what have men done? They've made like the hydrogen bomb. Like they don't, like, no man knows what it's like to grow life inside of you. And I'm like, and that ever since I saw that movie, that stuck with me, because I'm like, man, like I know that I can't do that, but I want to be somebody who's like appreciative and supportive of that. Like I don't want to be somebody that unwittingly creates like, like Skynet. Like.
Aw, so sweet. Yes.
Do my best. Anyway, yeah, and then it's the most beautiful place you can have a honeymoon. It's like a private resort that I love that Carlisle bought it for Esme. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
That's what one of the books should be, is about them. Like, just their relationship.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Because they have a long relationship.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a whole series.
Yeah.
Them being on that beautiful romantic island with the water and just like the beach and then like the house, and it's just all, when she does get pregnant, like I really forget who calls Carlisle. I think Edward does, and then Bella's talking to him too, but I really love that like Edward's first response to that is, okay, we're gonna go call him and see like what we can do. Like that felt like a very good step in the right direction.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to word these eloquently, but I'm starting to like I'm running. I'm getting a little more tired, and I'm running out of like things to say. So like,
I know.
but I really, so I'll just say it like this. I really liked that moment because it felt very like supportive, even though the later moment didn't. That moment did. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because they have such a strong family unit.
Yes.
And it's nice that they can all rely on each other and call for help and everything, and they know that they can help.
Call for help.
And Carlisle is awesome. He's so knowledgeable, so obviously he would know the right thing to do.
Which is why it's so shocking when he gets beheaded, but we'll get to that later.
Dude, don't even get me started. I just want to say the birth scene is so horrifying and terrifying. It is. I kind of wish they would have made it R-rated because
there is an extended cut.
They could have done more with that, but also at the same time it was very terrifying. When Bella becomes a vampire, she just has like so much pent up anger. I feel like
Yes.
And then now she can finally express it, and she can crush things and throw people and do whatever she wants, and it just is totally it just is so her at this point.
Yes, it's great.
I don't really like the Nessie character because Renesmee.
Call her what you want. The CG baby.
Because CG baby, she just grows up so fast, and we feel like we don't really have a connection to her because she was a fetus, and now she's 11, and it just, to me, I don't really feel anything toward her.
No.
So that was not a connection that I felt, and that's what made it feel more disconnected to me.
It does, yeah.
Part 1 and part 2, a little bit. Part 2 was better, though, because they actually had, again, movie-making qualities like stakes and acts and everything.
Yes.
Cause and effect. When, oh my god, Arrow's laugh when he sees Renesmee.
Yeah. It's funny because right before that, you and I were both in agreement. Like we were talking about it. We're like, dude, he's actually menacing. Like, he's doing a good job. And then he does that laugh, and we're both like lost it.
Yes. Like, literally the same moment. We were like, he's a good character. He's doing a good job. And then he laughs like that. And we lose it.
Yes. Since
goodbye, Arrow.
Yeah. I know that we kind of have to gloss over some things because we didn't talk about Brie Tanner or anything, but quick second of the Volturi. The best Volturi character is Jane, played by Dakota Fanning.
Oh,
hands down. She's awesome. She's badass. She's scary. She's like somebody you would want on your side, even though you don't, because she's like not a good person or vampire, but
Yeah, she's cool.
Awesome. And then when Alice takes her down is like the best moment ever.
When Alice fake takes her down.
Sorry, we haven't gotten there yet. Well, when we get to it. Oh, CG baby. Yeah, so that birth scene is super horrifying.
Really scarring.
Part 2 is the only movie to have opening credits because they have the cast curtain call at the end.
Yeah.
Also, the first movie is rain. Then they evolve into the last movie, which is snow. And there is a Christmas scene, so this technically is a Christmas movie. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's watch it every Christmas.
Yes. Watch the
just Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Not even Part 1, just Part 2.
No, just Part 2.
Part 1 you watch on a rainy day in spring. Part 2 you watch in the summer. Part 3 you watch when it's starting to turn from fall to winter. Part 4 you watch in the summer and in the fall. And then part five you watch in the winter during Christmas. There you go. I fixed it.
There you go.
Then you can enjoy all the movies throughout the year. And if during those and if you want to watch all the movies 5 times during the year, I'm not gonna stop you.
Go for
it, man.
Do it.
Dude, I watch comfort movies a lot during the year, just like random bits of them. So yeah, like, I watched Harry Potter the first movie 4 times in the last year. Screw it, man. Do what you want. Although Harry Potter is not comparable to Twilight, because Harry Potter is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So part 2, I love that even in New Moon, Aro is like wow, Bella's a special human, because even though we don't see it as much in the movies, I love that about her, because he says she doesn't view herself as a special person. She views herself as an ordinary run of the mill, unattractive, regular person, just somebody that blends in the crowd. And then when the main bad guy of the series says that about her, it's like a weird enemy kind of validation. And then when she shares her thoughts in Eclipse, and then when you see her abilities as a vampire, the shielding, and she's able to avoid eating, sucking a human's blood right away, pretty much.
Oh yeah.
You really see that yeah, he was right, and she was right. She was meant to be a vampire, and Ara was right that she was special. I really like that, and I wish there was more of that, because I think that's a thread that's in the background of the movies but isn't explored enough. But it should, because she's the main character.
So true. Yeah. Yeah, because it's weird that she can all of a sudden be around her dad, Charlie.
But she has the will to do it. Like, her will is strong.
And also Renesmee. She has blood.
Yeah, because she's half human.
Yeah. And she doesn't want to eat her.
Nope. She's very protective.
She doesn't want to eat her dad. Yeah, but I guess her power... That's the thing, like, with all of their powers, I think that's what makes me interested in this whole series, is because some of them can get powers, and so Edward can read minds. Alice
can see the future.
Can see the future. Jasper can control emotions, and Bella is a shield, so she can protect anyone from other vampires' powers, which is awesome. It's so weird that she has a defensive power, because she's the main character, and you would expect her to have like the most extreme power, but she just has a defensive power. She can protect everyone around her,
which is kind of cool.
It is kind of cool, yeah. Maybe that plays into the whole part where she can control herself super well.
Yes, I think yeah,
that makes sense.
Makes total sense. Before we get to the big final battle, I just want to see if there's anything that we forgot to cover. I think we, for the most part, touched on all the major stuff. How could we forget the baseball scene? So iconic, so amazing.
Oh, man.
The use of the song, the Muse song, is great.
Yeah.
It's the best scene in at least the first two movies, probably.
Yeah.
I can't say anything else because just go watch it.
The baseball scene. If you haven't seen that, go watch the guy on TikTok who reenacts everything.
Does he say "my monkey man"?
I'm sure he does. I'm pretty sure he does the entire film.
Beautiful.
Scene, like, shot by shot. Yeah.
Amazing.
I'll have to look it up, but yeah.
Yeah, so one thing about Breaking Down Part 2, because emotionally it feels like the best, because it feels like you have a huge sense of unity, because you have Jacob's pack and Sam's pack and the Cullens, and you have Edward and everyone going to get all these. I mean, Alice leaves, which sucks, but everyone going to come get these. She has her reasons, of course, because she's Alice, she's the best, but everybody, like, all these characters are coming together even though you don't really know them, and it's kind of weirdly discombobulated and you feel detached from most of them. But for the supporting characters, you get enough where you feel like you've known them a lot, and like Breaking Down Part 1 kind of like sets some of them up, like it sets Irina up and that kind of thing. Oh, I just realized both Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Breaking Down Part 1 start with a wedding and end with, like, you know, like they end obviously at the midpoint.
Oh.
And then the wedding, like, then something goes wrong, and then the heroes are in a dangerous situation.
Yeah, you're right.
Wedding. So if you ever read a series, the Part 1 of your last movie, make a wedding at the beginning. It'll be great. I don't know if you had any thoughts on the supporting cast of Breaking Down Part 2.
Yeah, I do. Rami Malek.
Yes, Rami Malek.
That's all I'm gonna say. It was interesting that they brought in all of these people. That also kind of made me feel disconnected.
Yep.
To it, because we didn't really know who these people were. But neither did they, I guess. So
Bella didn't.
Yeah, Bella didn't. She's who we are following for the most part, but it was interesting. It's like you can relate it to Spy Kids 3D
or Endgame,
where they call in everybody.
They
need all backup,
which is what we're gonna do for
everyone.
What movie? What did we say? Harry Potter. We're gonna call in everyone, including Lucy Deakins.
Yeah. And I also liked how we saw a bunch of the vampires, where I think something Bella doesn't realize when she's talking to Jacob and the rest of the tribe is that the vampires generally are kind of bad. They kill people. And so the whole tribe and the werewolves have a justified way of, like, justified reason for killing them, because they kill people.
Yes.
So, but I feel like Bella doesn't really get it because of the Cullens, who just feed on animals. But since they made the treaty that they can't bite humans, blah, blah, blah. But then when they bring all of these random people in, most of them are not vegetarian. and it's hard for them to be allies with the werewolves. But they are still good people when it comes down to it, because they can see Renesmee's gifts.
Yep.
God, Renesmee, such a terrible
It
name.
is.
Even
Edward thinks so, but he doesn't say it because he doesn't. Oh yeah. That's another thing Bella does with control. She picks the baby's name and sticks with it, even though Edward and Jacob don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's a horrible baby name, like.
Horrible name. Like, why can't you just call her Bree?
That would actually. Okay, so in our rewrite of Twilight, then Bella would have a connection to Bree, as would Jasper, and Jasper would also. That's another thing. Jasper's backstory is just like Riley's, so why didn't Jasper have a scene with Riley? That doesn't make any sense. But
Oh yeah.
But having Bella and Jasper both have a connection to Bree, and Riley also humanize Riley, like make him more of a three-dimensional character. And then when Bree is taken, that's like has a huge impact on Bella, and then she names her daughter Bree. Like there you go. There we go. We just made it better.
Or just, yeah. Just like something normal. I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, so
Edie,
please keep going.
like Edward, but like a girl, Edie.
Oh yeah, because she says if it's a boy, she's going to name it E.J. Edward Jacob. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
that would be fine.
yeah.
EJ.
Ege. You could do G. If you do J-E, could be G.
Yeah.
Sup, G.
G. Sup, G.
Saji.
Surgy.
Now that has happened, do you have any other breaking down part 2 thoughts before the climax?
No.
I think you said this too, but I like how part 2 of Breaking Dawn and Eclipse both have that filmic like rising action, and there's stakes, and it builds up to the climax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this final battle, it doesn't happen. It's a vision. So all the Volturi are there, all the allies on the good guy side are there, and then they have this big battle where Carlisle dies and Jasper dies and Seth and Leah die, and Jane kills Jasper, and then Alice goes and kills Jane and gives her head to Sam, which is so awesome. And then Edward and Bella combine to take down Aro, and Jacob's taking Renesmee away, and then he fights off somebody too and still manages to keep her alive and safe. And then it turns out it was all a vision from Alice's head.
I know. That is so cheap. I just was so mad when I remembered that that's what happened, because...
I love that you basically had a first-time reaction to that whole thing. That was so great.
I didn't remember that it was a whole vision. We were watching together, and I was like, oh my god, no, no. And you were just smugly like...
but that's how you were with the deaths, too. Like you were just like, oh no.
Yeah, it was horrible. And then, oops, it was all fake. Bullshit.
I don't know.
Stupid.
I don't mind it. To respectfully disagree with you one more time. Is it a fake out? Absolutely. Is it irritating? 100%. Is it unique?
Yeah.
Yes. Because imagine, all right, screw it. Spoilers for Infinity War and Endgame. They do the same thing, but they take 3 hours to do it. They kill everyone and then bring them back. Twilight does it in 30 seconds. And Endgame and Infinity War is like a 2-part epic where it takes them 2/3 of the second movie to bring part 2 to bring everyone back.
Okay.
And there's a 5-year gap. Like.
Yeah. Wow. That's also frustrating.
No, it's not frustrating. It is, but it isn't, because like seeing them all together is amazing. But like, yeah, imagine if they stayed dead and that was the end and it was just all about moving on.
Yeah.
In some ways, that might have been better.
Which is real life. You can't bring people back from the dead. If we could, then that'd be interesting, to say the least. But that's a whole other debate. So, yeah, I was completely faked out, and
I loved it.
Then after that, I was like, I wonder what I thought in the theater when I saw that. Was I like screaming? Because I feel like I would have been.
Because they killed characters that didn't die in the book, and you're like, what?
Yeah, like I read the book. They didn't have this whole fake out scene.
Nope.
And I probably lost my shit, but I just don't remember.
Sadly. I saw a reaction online where somebody where a couple people like went to like the marathon before breaking down part two, and they watched like all the movies, and then they had the reaction to part two when when Carlisle, like when you see that he dies, like somebody literally in the theater is like, that wasn't in the book, and then when they did the fake out, everybody was like, what? And they were all like screaming, and they're like, are you kidding me? and I'm like, yeah,
that's great.
That would have been great. If I had seen it in the theater, that probably would have been my reaction too.
I can't remember even. I'm sure I saw it just in my hometown, but I don't remember who I was with or anything. So not sure how I feel about it because it's the entire climax, but it turns out to be fake.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cheap. But the movie ends well. The series ends well.
Mm-hmm.
Can't believe they did me like that, but
yeah, I really like the way it ends. I really like the montage. I don't know how I feel about the song, mixed emotions there, but I really think that it suits the final montage well. And so basically, Endgame took what this movie did and what Star Trek 6 did and combined them and made like the final version of it. Like the way to conclude a series. Like Star Trek 6 was step 1, breaking down part 2 was step 2, and then Endgame's like the final draft of how you like do an end credit sequence where you honor everybody.
Oh, right.
And you also do signatures.
Yeah, so in Star Trek they did signatures, in Breaking Dawn they did all the characters from the whole entire series. And in Endgame they did that whole thing with the signatures. Okay. So I just wanted to ask you, I wanted to explore why we like this series.
That's a really interesting question. I think you should put this at the beginning, because then we're going to be like Eclipse where we don't say it till the end. People are going to think we're batshit insane, and then when you get to the 3-hour mark, they're like, oh, okay. Also, this is our longest episode, so if you've been listening for this long, thank you so much. You have our undying, like love and appreciation. Like, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Also, thanks for listening every week. But for this episode in particular, because for people who don't like the series, if you wanted us to hate on it, we're just giving our honest opinions. So, sorry. Okay. Why do I love this series? Why do I like this series? I don't think I love it. I like it. I like to really like it. I'm in that middle where I'm like, it depends on my mood. It depends on musically. I love the soundtracks to the first 3 movies, and there's things about it I really love. There's things about it I don't like. I think why I really like it is because it's really a connection that my mom and I share, because this is one of, if not her favorite series, and experiencing it not with her, but kind of in the after echo of when she experienced it, and watching the movies with her multiple times and seeing them for the first time with her, because every single movie, all 5 of them, for the first time I watched them with her. So it has that personal level of connection to it for me, for sure. It also has a little bit of nostalgia, because like I said earlier, I was old enough to see it, but I wasn't quite the age that they were when I was reading it and when I was watching the first movie. So, but I think also I'm just a sucker for fantasy romantic stories, even if they're not portrayed in the best light. I think there's enough to like about these movies that I don't think they deserve all the hate they get, because they get a lot of hate even though they're not perfect. And I think that if you go in with the right mindset, they're movies that you can just enjoy. The way I view movies, it depends on the movie, because there's a lot of movies that I will view very critically, where I'm like, okay, these story elements work and these ones don't. And I feel like that happens more with movies I don't like. But if there's a movie I like, I can acknowledge its flaws, but I don't have to let that deter the experience for me, because I'm like, for me, the positives outweigh the negatives. And I think that's true for all these movies.
Okay.
And I guarantee that what you say is I'm also going to be like, yeah, that's also part of it. So why do you like this series, and what kind of connections do you feel to it? I'll ask you the same thing
I think I am less intrigued by the love story, more intrigued by the fantasy. I came for the vampires, I stayed for the vampires. I love vampires.
Have you seen Vampires Kiss? That's
No.
the best vampire movie ever made. You gotta see it.
I will watch it.
A, B, C, D.
Is it, the questions I ask myself, is it because you get to be with your soulmate forever? If you turn into a vampire, you can be with them throughout your human life. But for me, that doesn't really connect, because I believe in afterlife, and sure, you're going to live a long life on Earth, but if that means you can't live any afterlife, then that doesn't really outweigh it for me.
Yep.
I really like the cool powers that they get, though. I think that's really intriguing, and that's what I like about Breaking Dawn Part 2, is seeing everyone's cool powers. The Renesmee thing is weird. Don't really like it. Could have done without it. I said that, like, the love story gets better as it goes along, but basically it's kind of messed up until Breaking Dawn.
Yeah.
So they get married, and yay. Also, maybe having kids fixes everything. Woohoo! Probably not.
It probably doesn't in real life. I'm sure it doesn't.
No.
Didn't for my parents.
No. Yeah, for a lot of people it doesn't really work. When these books came out, there wasn't much out there like them.
Uh-huh.
I feel like this started a whole genre of young adult book series turned movies and everything. And I started to read them, and then I started to read all of the other teen apocalyptic series and stuff. And then my mom gave me a book about a girl who's into witchcraft, and then she finds Jesus because witchcraft is evil, and now I'm like, I just think I was inspired by the witchcraft.
Sorry, Mom.
But anyway, yeah, it just seems like Edward doesn't have a very good expertise with women or experience, and it's apparent when he meets Bella, so I don't know why he is so weird, like why he doesn't love anyone except for her. I guess that makes it more romantic, huh? But
I mean, I don't know about you. I've loved multiple people in my life, and I've thought that, you know, that was it. And then you meet somebody else, and you feel different feelings, and you're like, no, this is different, but this is also good. You know, it's. Sorry, keep going.
No, yeah, definitely. It's like he didn't even give anyone a chance before Bella.
But also, he's had 100 years that we don't see. But yes, you're right, because he doesn't, because he didn't give Rosalie a chance, or the other, what's her name, Tanya, like.
Uh-huh. Right. I think in Breaking Dawn, whatever, they say that he's a virgin, don't they?
I think so, but I'm just thinking, then he'd be the oldest, I guess he's not living, but the oldest virgin ever.
So, yeah, it doesn't make sense how he can just love her. I don't know. This just comes back to me not liking Edward and thinking he's toxic. But we can end on something else.
No, I mean, if you have any more to say, now's the time to say it.
A good series. Overall, we had fun watching.
Definitely
Entertaining. You should watch it all if you have the chance. Go to Goodwill, buy all the movies, buy all the books. Yep. Because they're all there. Nobody wants them.
They did, but now they don't. I respect somebody who bought the Twilight movies when they're younger and still has them now. Like the people who don't give them to Goodwill. I mean, if you give them to Goodwill, I'm not going to judge you because you probably got better film taste than we do. But if you kept them, then that's amazing. I respect that. Good on you.
So what's next? I don't know what to say next.
What did you watch anything this week?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Okay.
Let's see. I watched Scream.
What did you think?
I liked it a lot. It was entertaining and funny without being super corny like a lot of horror films. And it had about as many references in it as Ready Player One did.
It
with,
did.
Like other horror movies. It just referenced all the other horror movies, which was really fun.
And people don't have a problem with it in Screams. Why do you have a problem with it in Ready Player One? Like,
people had a problem with it in Ready Player One?
Yeah, that was like one of the complaints was that, oh, it's just full of references and no story. And I'm like, what? I kind of see that, but like, nah, dude, it's like an 80s movie, but it's just...
Oh, please. Stupid.
But yeah, no, I'm really glad you liked Scream.
Yeah, it was really fun. I liked it a lot.
It's the only Scream movie you need to see. 2 and 3 are okay, and then 4's pretty good. Although I will say, not to steal your thunder, again, I'm that's a Friends reference, which leads me into what I'm going to say, but I meant it seriously. It wasn't as a pun. Not to steal your thunder, of course, but okay. When I watch like Jennifer Aniston in a movie, I'm always aware of Jennifer Aniston. When I watch Courtney Cox in Scream, I don't see Monica. I see her as Gail Weathers.
Yeah, she does a really good job.
She does, and she carries and Can I say that? Whatever. She's in all the movies, so she partly like carries the.
Oh, she's in all the movies?
Yeah, she's in all of them.
Then I also watched Poltergeist, and it was way better than I expected it to be.
That's on my watch list.
It was really scary.
I'm so down to see it.
It was a good family film. The whole family was a great unit, and they all worked together very well. The husband and wife are very loving.
That's awesome.
The husband actually reminded me of Patrick Wilson, who does all of the, he plays Ed Warren in the Conjuring series, and then he plays the main dad in Insidious. So he's like a big horror guy, but then the dad in this reminded me totally of him. They look the same, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good storyline. It was interesting. It was really scary too. So I recommend it.
Awesome. I really do want to see it. Well, I'm glad you're still watching horror movies in February. That's great. Or March, I guess. I don't know when this. What month is it?
I don't know.
What year?
I think
is
it'll
it?
be March.
What year is it?
What year is it?
February.
Yeah, I want to watch. There's a ton of horror movies on HBO, so I want to watch all of them.
Nice. I do too. I want to watch like some shitty horror movies, like the Jaws sequels. I at least want to see Jaws 2 because Roy Scheider's still in it. And then Jaws 3 is in 3D, but HBO doesn't have it in 3D. So, like, you know. Man, it's like watching Spy Kids 3 in 2D. It's just not the same. Or Shark Boy and Lava Girl, which also has Taylor Lautner.
Taylor.
Yeah.
Hollywood dropped Taylor Lautner, and it's no secret why, says Snapchat.
Snapchat's...
Did you see that article?
Snapchat's listening to us. No, but what was the... why did they do that? I usually don't read those because they feel like they're clickbaity.
I did read that one for a minute, but it went on too long where I was like, oh my god, shut up. Why was it? I don't even remember. I don't know.
Well, anyway, was there anything else you watched this week?
That's it, I think.
So I'm going to go a little out of order of what I wrote down, but that's okay. So I watched Contact, which I've wanted to see for a long time.
Oh!
But it wasn't bad, but I didn't really like it. It kind of has Twister vibes a little bit because it's Jodie Foster's leading a team of researchers and they're all trying to see they're trying to find this mysterious device and like extraterrestrial contact, hence the title. And then they're in a room with 90s computers and technology and they're all like running around trying to, and I'm like, dude, she's so like Joe from Twister, and I love it. Also, I love Jodie Foster. She's a great actress. And it's directed by Robert Zemeckis, who did Forrest Gump and Castaway and Polar Express and a bunch of other movies. But I just didn't click with it because, especially after watching Arrival and the Star Trek movies, but especially the first one, I was just hoping that the movie was all about the exploration side of it, and about the communication, like how Amy Adams in Arrival is all about, like, you know, they see the life form and they're communicating with it, and that's the whole movie, and it's about time. Whereas Contact doesn't do that until the very end, and it's like a 2.5 hour movie, and then it's just like, because it's just, that part was great, and like there's this there's this opening sequence which is amazing where you hear all these different genres of music, like, and so they start with like a 90s song and then an 80s song, then a 70s song, and they go all the way back, and they keep like zooming through, like the shot keeps going like past the planets through the galaxy, and I'm like, oh, and like that was so cool, and I was just thinking that I would get a different movie than what I got.
Oh.
So maybe sometime if I watch it again I'll enjoy it, but it was more like a political drama than it was like an exploration sci-fi kind of movie. It had sci-fi elements, but it wasn't like, that wasn't the movie. The movie was like debating like, oh, like why should we give you the money to communicate with the aliens rather than just being about the exploration.
Oh, okay.
So
I haven't seen it in a while, but
so it's kind of like that movie walked so Arrival could run kind of situation.
Oh dang! Oh.
But also, Arrival's great. And then Wilton and I started rewatching Harry Potter. We watched the first one, which is probably in my top 5 comfort movies of all time, because that movie just makes me feel so warm and nostalgic, and I'll always love it. I've loved it ever since I first saw it when I was probably, like, I was too young to understand the story, as we discussed last time. So that was really great. And we were just talking about things over the movie anyway, because we've watched it together a bunch. But it's just a movie where if we need to talk about some stuff, we're just going to turn that movie on, because it's like just like a nice reprieve from the stresses of life.
Aw, that's good.
It's so warm and cozy. It's just a cozy movie. Like, I love it. And yeah, it's 2.5 hours, but to me, the Harry Potter movies never felt long because I was even as a kid, because I was always like, oh, it's like the whole school year. And I love that. And Wilton said that too, where he's like, the movie doesn't feel long. I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, the movie doesn't feel that long because it's the whole school year that they go through, and you experience it with them, and it bonds you further to the characters. And I'm like, dude, yes, like, absolutely. Aww. That's amazing. And then I watched the Star Trek 4 through 6, so I watched the second half of the original crew movies. I said before that Spock got the best entrance in the first movie. He gets the best entrance in all 6 of these movies. Like he has the best entrance in all of them, and I love it. Yeah, so 4 was enjoyable. That's the one when they go to 1980s America and say things like, double dumbass on you. It's amazing. It's amazing. I love it. And that part's great. The movie itself is pretty good. It's not my favorite of the series. It's like more in the middle. And then Star Trek 5 is the one that a lot of people really hate. And like I said last time, me going into these movies blind and not having any preconceived years of knowledge, I envy people who are able to go into Star Wars now and just see all the movies for the first time, like without any preconceived notions of, oh, this trilogy means this and this movie represents this. And that's how I feel with Star Trek, and that's why
it's so different.
It's so different, and I wish I had that with Star Wars more than any other franchise. Star Trek 5 I didn't mind. I actually thought it was pretty good. It's definitely the weakest of the bunch, but there's scenes in it that are really good, and there's scenes between the main trio of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy that are really well acted, and the philosophical and spiritual questions it raises I found really fascinating, even if it didn't fully deliver on them. So I thought it was all right. And then Star Trek 6 is the second best. It's the send-off. It's really, it's pretty emotional. It's really good. I still say Star Trek 2 is my favorite. 6 was also really good, and having the signatures at the end was a nice little cap. So it was good. It was enjoyable.
When was that one made?
1991, I think. And then they did 4 Next Generation movies, and then they did the the Kelvin trilogy, where J.J. Abrams directed the first 2. And I'm curious to watch those now to see if my opinion has changed since I've seen the original movies. And I still want to watch that episode, the Enemy Within episode, which I will watch at some point, hopefully. I'd like to, but yeah.
Very cool.
And that's
inspiring that you can, like, get into the Star Trek world without watching every single thing.
No, because that's like 7 or 8 TV series and like 13 movies. And I've only seen like 5 episodes of the original series and like 9 of the movies, and that's like all I need.
But you can still relate to it, right?
I still feel like Wrath of Khan. I still felt the emotions. I definitely really felt that. I felt the reunion in the first movie because it had been 10 years since the actors had been on screen together. I still felt that. Like, there's a long scene when they're seeing the Enterprise again, and it's like super emotional, and I'm like, dude, how do I feel this? I've only seen like 4 episodes. And I went straight from the episodes to the movies. I'm like, bruh. But also, I had seen the Abrams movies, so I had that connection, even though it was different actors, because with the characters, I guess. So yeah, so my takeaways are: I don't see myself watching a lot more of it. I don't know if I even watched the movies I haven't seen, but I am curious now, and I feel like if I turn on like BBC or something and Next Generation's on, maybe I'll watch an episode or two. You know, who knows? Because Patrick Stewart's in that, and he's awesome, and I want to see how that crew is. Although the original crew is probably like, this is me probably unintentionally pissing people off, but like, how can you top the original crew? Because like Kirk and Spock are like, and McCoy are like the best. The 7th one is like, goes from the original to the next, so it has Kirk and Picard, Patrick Stewart in the same movie. I've heard mixed things about it, and I'm like, there's things I already know going in where I'm like, I don't know if I want to see this or that. So, but maybe I'll watch it sometime.
Okay.
But that's my little Star Trek tangent.
Yeah. Much better than the Star Wars tangent.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, much more positive.
Yeah, for sure. I part of the reason I don't even, another reason why I don't want to get into Star Trek, other than it being a mammoth thing, is because I don't want to discover negativity about it. I just want to stay in this nice little positive space of, I like these movies, I've seen these episodes, and I'm ready to just, that's all I need. I'm content.
That's a good place to be, I think.
I do like every Star Trek movie that I've seen, though. Like, I really liked the first one a lot, which a lot of people don't. But that one I think is my favorite of the odd numbered ones of the original 6.
Okay.
It starts with an overture, and more movies need to do that. The score is by Jerry Goldsmith, and it's great. And then James Horner does the score in the second one, and that's great too. I think as far as recording goes, I think that'll wrap it up because I need to plug my phone in.
We just got to prescribe our next movie.
Oh yeah. So what are we gonna do? Did we decide?
So we're watching. I don't know how to say it. You say.
We're gonna be watching Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind from 1984, 1985. I don't know which. I think it's 84.
I think it's 1984.
Yeah, 1984. Yeah. And it's just technically not a Studio Ghibli movie, but it is. It's on HBO Max, so go check it out. It's a great movie. Yeah, thank you for listening to this insane long Twilight thing. Are there any other?
Thank you so much.
Are there any other Twilight things you'd like to say before we? Anything we forgot to mention?
I would just love to hear other people's comments on it. If you want to comment on our Instagram or YouTube.
Yeah, please do. Like seriously, like whether you love these or hate these or you're in between, like that would be great. We would love to hear some feedback. I also forgot to mention my favorite Jasper line, my favorite line in New Moon, and my favorite Jasper line is when Bella's asking them all if she's accepted as a part of the family, is what I meant. And then
the teaser line.
And then Jasper says like, "I'm gonna vote yes because it'd be nice not to not want to kill you all the time."
There we go. That was the quote we said last week.
And then I love how even though you don't really like Rosalie at first, you're not really supposed to, I guess, until you find out because Bella's like, "Why do you hate me?" in the eclipse. But in retrospect, when you see what her story was, I love that she says like she says, "I wish somebody had said no for me, so I'm gonna say no."
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like I love how she presents it, like not in a mean spirited way, but just like in an honest and like candid way, because she says like, I know you and my brother are like totally in love, and I know you just saved his life, and I'm super appreciative of that, but I had a really dark thing happen to me, and I don't want the same thing for you, so I want you to have a choice because I didn't. She says like, I envy that you do have a choice because I didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really powerful. Their relationship is better developed than Edward and Bella.
Honestly, yeah.
That's okay. We're not Team Alice. Let's be Team Rosalie for Bella.
Team Rosalie. Yeah, they really have an arc and development.
They really do. I like that a lot. It's funny that the side characters are more in better relationships than the main one. Thank you again for listening to this. We've said that like 10,000 times. How do we end this? Let's think. Oh, that's me as a 5-year-old. Look at those jeans.
What's a quote?
All right. If you listen this far, you earn an honorary film therapy Spider Monkey Award.
We will
How's that?
be sending them out in the mail.
Yes, to
let us
to
know
all of our
if you
followers.
listen to this episode.
If you listen to the full episode, and we know some of you will, again, you're the best.
So next week, I don't know a quote from that movie.
From Nausicaa? Oh, okay, here's the quote. "Nice valley. Think I'll keep it."
That's what he said.
"Why does everything that's good for you have to taste so bad?"
That's what she said.
"She's alive. There goes that dream."
That's what he said.
"It's rotting. It's too soon."
That's what she said.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week.
Bye. We love you.